Hello world! You wonder why being homeless takes so long to get out of it. Well, I'll tell you, it ain't for lack of trying. I'm gonna go check my mail today. We're near the homeless shelter. If you notice, I do a lot of videos. This is kind of a stomping ground for me at 7-Eleven. They are running a background check at me at another one. So I'm likely to start work soon. And we're all hoping for the best. I'm excited. I really am. I mean, like, I'm ready to go back to work. The girl over there at the 7-Eleven I'm used to is where that crazy other video where I'm like, she got trouble running a scanner. They have hired somebody at 7-Eleven. The young girl who is having a lot of trouble with something. It's not knowing the difference between right and wrong. It's knowing how to use a scanner. She's like, it's really hard. And I'm like, you know, I see your point. It's a good thing you don't also have to deal with the big ugly Boomers Choice Awards. So I'm gonna teach her how to use a scanner. Hopefully she already knows what's right doesn't change. Maybe I'll drill that home in a little bit more for her, but let's talk about, well, I couldn't go get my mail because the homeless shelter doesn't believe in homeless people. Not all the time. They're supposed to, it's their reason for existing, but they're closing. We got 2 feet of snow on the way tonight, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check my mail. How about that? Like, I do this all the time. But I live, like, I'm way over that way, so it's just like another scooter ride and like risk my life and like 613 miles on scooters, 16 times more likely to die. But let's just talk about something real happy. So, let's talk about something that would be amazing if it could be true. Like, all the problems in my life, a whole bunch of them, and I'm not the only one that thinks this. My mother thought this, and I think my dad has hinted at it too. My brother might come around to the idea when he comes around to anything at all. The idea is, I'm 36, all right? I should be 41. My parents were doing the best. They just started too late and they couldn't keep it going. That's how you ended up with a me and a. If I was 41, let me tell you what this would be. So if I was born in 87, if I was born in 82, my mom was 25 when she had me, and when she was announcing her pregnancy, it was kind of like an instant prayer and a shock, all in one. The whole family, my mom's side and my dad's side, because I have a blue collar background, and I know to be 25 and pregnant for the first time is like normal, or maybe even too young today, right? But back then, in the 80s, from a blue collar background family, 25, it was just like both sides of my family were like, they just couldn't believe. They were just like, well, I hope she makes it through. They didn't believe my mom and my dad had much planning, but they did. They overplanned it. My mom should have had me 20, because she met my dad when she was 13. She already knew at 20. She already knew at 13, honey. She knew at 13 my dad would end up being my dad. She already knew that. Both of them they would tell you that. Promise. So she and my dad overplanned everything, and they did nail it. They got it right. They got us a nice brick home with oil furnace at the end of a lovely street in America's #1 TV hometown, and it was amazing. They just couldn't keep it going long enough. So what I mean by like everything would be a lot better if I was 41. It really would be. Let's take out, like, if I had been born 5 years earlier and everything else had pretty much stayed the same. Let's just say, like, my parents continued to do all the things they were going to end up doing anyway, like get divorced and everything, like that situation. I would have been 15. I would have got my driver's license. We would have done every other weekend for like, 7 times, 8 times, and been like, oh, that's fun. And then I would have outgrown it. But no, I was actually 10 years old when they got divorced, which is, psychologists say, the absolute worst time for a child to experience and have to survive divorce. It is the absolute, like, DEFCON level. Like, you cannot be more absolutely worse on getting divorced than when your kids had. I had an alarm on my phone go off, so I was starting the video again. But I had to check. We're doing it 60 frames per second. We're doing these videos better than they used to be. In a way, they are. So, 10 years old. Worst age. Parents picked the worst age on that. They probably picked the best, like everything else. Everything that they kind of could control, And to some extent, I mean, we kind of say the boomers are going to say, I can't control getting divorced. And I'm like, yes, you could have. You could have just not done it. But they did. And my mom did it again. Because she quit being the best. When my mom was saying be the best, she was being the best. Mom, you could just start being the best again. Like, it is possible. Maybe. But, go back to me. So, if we could just go back to like, if my parents had just had me in 82, I'd be like almost the same age Britney Spears is. Man of my dreams today, I'd be, you know, making a complete recovery on getting over him. He'd be 2 years younger, not 3 years older. Things that like only I can control, like kind of like Billy Shields, U.S. for Safe People. Remember old dreamy senior year when I was a freshman in high school, Billy Shields? Our gay student president, real dreamy man. Oh, whatever happened to him? I probably would have had a lot better chance with big old Billy. But we would have been like, we were too young, so we would have been like the Brittany and Cave head, who was Seville and Clemens. And I would have been Brittany on that, obviously. But it would have been like way better than just being gay bullied all on my own freshman year. So that probably could have happened. But like, even if like my dad went to January 6th and, you know, all the bullshit tied up with my family, if all that had still happened, guess what would have happened? What with me, COVID, and that promotion? Let's say it all still happened, right? But the promotion would have happened 5 years earlier. I've always said, my goal is to come out here to Denver, date a Texan, which I did, so that could have happened too. He was here then. And ended up working at Dish Forever. I have noticed that if you were in a stable and solid employment option, you were pretty much happy with where you were working and in the solid. Like, I had just started that job for corporate like 5 weeks before the COVID shutdown. On a serious note, what I'm elaborating here at this point is basically I'm attributing my working exactly 16 jobs in the COVID economy out here without a network, and having never been able to go to boot camp and everything with Dish really partially being beyond their control. I do believe that's a reason I went homeless. We can look at it to like King Soopers, the grocery store that took 11 weeks to hire me when I already had a part-time job. And so like all of these things that like really can kind of get nailed down into because it could due to COVID. Hashtag due to COVID. And do you want me, I've already made a video. Do you want, and if I hear from people that are smart and I like them, weigh in. This is your chance to let me know. Do you want, I've already made the video, do you want a play-by-play like analysis of like what my experience was like working on them jobs? Like literally, I have already done this video. Do you want me to release it? You want me to show you how like if you were in a solid, if you were kind of satisfied, it seemed to be, if you were in this COVID economy but you were locked into solid employment, like I was not, because it was 5 weeks before I had the COVID shutdown and came across the country. I could show you literally on a serious, this is a funny video, but this is a more serious one. Weigh in, if you're smart and I like you, if you want me to release that video, and I will. Seriously. With this video, this hypothetically might be released video. And if you want, I might just show it to you like privately. I can do that too. Because what I wanted to say is this other video that I did yesterday that I haven't been talking about. It shows if you were in a pretty good employment situation, you were satisfied with it before COVID, you tend to end up being unable to understand anything I'm going through at a level that I think is now no longer acceptable. But you tend to end up having weathered the storm really, really good compared to somebody like me who it really wasn't their fault. Being at the 60% higher likelihood of my parents getting divorced and being gay, and then you throw COVID on top of that, and then it's just like, and then my dad's quadruple open heart bypass and the effects of all that. Then you start understanding that makes a whole lot more sense, and he's still strong and he's still here at 553 days homeless, and he's still trying. So that's what you need to be focusing on, and here's the rest of this silly video, okay? If that happened 5 years and 5 weeks earlier, and then COVID happened, I probably never have been homeless a second time. Let's say my dad made me homeless, like just always did, 2016, but like that. It happened in 2012. I'd have been 31 or 32 when that happened. Like, all that bullshit would have still happened. Like, it's just to say, like, everything, my parents were just like, if they had just hit rewind, we could just, like, hit the VCR and like, rewind the tape, and hit play on getting pregnant. And, like, I ended up being this happy, dandy, man-loving, fearless, man-loving man I am. Technically, if you want to, ain't thrown out. Scientifically, what we believe. Scientists believe, not me, but scientists. So I believe it. My mom's estrogen level is a little wonky. So blame out on her. You want to? She probably can help it, but people blame people they can't help. Other things they can't help. But, like, basically, if even she had wonky levels in 1982, it was like, let's make a baby. With these wonky estrogen levels I don't even know how. If that had happened, I'd ended up turning into a happy, dandy, man-loving, fearless, man-loving man I am. But I probably would have escaped. I would like to know specifically the research on, like, if you survive your parents' divorce, you're at a 38% higher likelihood of being homeless. I bet that kind of has like a bell curve, and I bet if you're like 15 when that happens, your odds are lower. I bet I had the absolute best odds of being homeless because I had the absolute worst experience surviving divorce. I bet, like, I don't have any proof, but I bet that's how it is. And, like, with my brother, he almost kind of got, like, weird, like, blindsided, like, kind of how my mom is now. She can't, like, remember anything. That's how my brother was, like, during all this trauma and crisis. He was, like, 6 when it started. He had just learned how to talk and love me. And then he was just like, yeah, you know, I forgot everything until the new millennium. Or 9/11, basically. I never did. I got, like, just clear as DVD, like a Blu-ray disc. Virgin on 1990 and all the years after that. But if I had just been born 5 years earlier, if I had just been born 5 years earlier, probably still be at Dish. The company's doing everything wrong all the time. And now they're doing, it's finally weird how they're sued for hundreds of $1 millions, like, over and over again. Now they're doing layoffs. It's possible that my life would have had still challenges. There are people who are 41 years old that have it rough. It happens. I'm aware of that. But a lot of the bullshit, I probably would have dated Billy Shields. He couldn't resist me at 5 years older. He just couldn't. I taught him one time. He's my hero. Billy, yes you. Wonder how you are. But if everything else had happened, we look at, like, dating Billy Shields, we look at, like, if I had got my license, and my parents were divorced anyway, and, you know, if my stepdad Steve had, you know, continued to take money from my mom so that his daughter wasn't homeless, which is exactly what happened. Like, now they're divorced. Like, if all that had happened anyway, but, like, if I was 5 years older, I would time and time again for my life so far be overall in a better position. I still would have liked Vince Gill and Mariah Carey and Alka-Seltzer, like Pepsi, all them things would have still just kind of came on board. But what we have to do, which you're not even thinking about, and I bet you're not even thinking about, maybe one of you are, but we have to, like, we're being so future focused on the past, which we can't change but learn from, according to that Monkey and the Lion King, which I would have just ended up knowing about too. Probably been like, that's for little kids. But that was like 1994. Maybe my favorite year would have been like 1989. Taylor Swift. But basically, what we have to always kind of keep in mind is maybe we just have to, like, believe in God, believe what's right is a change, even though, like, my dad has completely 1-880 to a level that we should be, like, calling the State Bureau of Investigation on, if not the FBI or the Air Force, or whatever it's going to take to save that 7-year-old boy. Is he sleeping with him? It's wrong. I wasn't knowing that. Even at 36, at 35, I knew that. How about that? But, like, if all this other bullshit had kept going on, what we have to kind of hope for is maybe eventually it'll correct itself. Okay? Like, when I'm 50, if I survive a 16 times higher likelihood of dropping dead, just being homeless now, all of the time. Which is why you end up making these videos, okay? Do you understand this? Like, I end up making these crazy videos because I'm like, I have got to let the world know for all time. Since I'm 16 times still more likely to drop dead before dinner. If I even have it. Just homeless. Because nobody loves me. Once you factor all that in, then my videos make all the sense. I'm not making a video for like 25 years in the future if I don't make it to sundown. There's snow coming down. Or I die in the snow tonight. Just homeless. But we have to kind of like say, we should help Nate. Like you can help Nate right now. But, it's true. It's possible. It is possible. We have to kind of believe, eventually, somewhere along the way, maybe I'll get a disease when I'm 54. And they won't have a cure for it 5 years earlier, but they'll be like, you know what? We just found the cure 6 months ago. It's a good thing you're the age you are. We have a cure. And then, like, when my mom wins Powerball lottery, like, I think she's probably going to at any moment and end up with like $509 million because she can't remember what she did with her debit card. Because she can't remember what a debit card is. And my uncle does. I'm sure. Maybe all that stuff will still happen, like I think it's going to, but like it'll just end up better, or it'll end up in my favor because I'm 36 today. That's the way I like to look at it. What do you think? Have you even thought about it? Or you just not even caring about a homeless person still? People out there are. And for Ben, I got an email from him. I'm looking forward to your next email. I'm excited about the future. As much as it can be on everything, all of the time. Listen from Granny. You know, Granny was born in 1935. Probably she was born, if she had been born 5 years older, it would have been harder for her. Great Depression. She was surviving it at the tail end of it. But Granny believed in her, born at right time ways. She believed in everything and everyone. All the way. All the time. Think about that. Think about things you believe in and how you can be on that. And then just start believing in the things you should be believing in all the way, all the time. I told a good buddy last night. Pretty much the same thing. Oh. Maybe it's a good thing I ain't 5 years too old. You know who I'm talking about? Well, I'm going to send it to you. Because if I was 5 years too old now, I'd probably be too old the first time. All right, everybody be excited to be as you are. Contemplate and think about how your life would be better, different if you were like 5 years older or younger. And then just resolve that it's all going to end up better than it ever could be the way it is now. That is like a really smart way in this video. And it's time for me to go get a snack. I got like $9 on snack food. Because I did go to the grocery store because I'm blessed. I'm staying, I think, gonna work out. But couldn't go check my mail. Now I need a video. Now I need an after snack video. I ain't even a boomer. An after video snack. I get my words mixed up. And I ain't even a boomer. It happens when you're surviving the boomers and everything you ever did. Just even alive. 5 years too late. Those high price Pepsi we got. My land.
My loneliness is killing me, and I must confess, I still believe. When I'm not with you, I lose my mind. Give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time. Oh, baby.
Here's the thing. He ain't already married. To Lance Bass, he ain't. I already checked. This really would be like one of the most fun ways to help Nate. It really would be. I really want to know, and it would really warm my heart. And anyway, to know how is Billy Shields doing. Last I heard, he moved to Atlanta. I think he went to Chapel Hill, moved to Atlanta, and I hadn't heard since. But he really did, believe in me, when I was a sophomore, and he came back in that same building I'm in, or when I was homeless in Louisville. I want to know what happened to Billy Shields. Seriously, I do. Please help. Let's find out what happened to Billy Shields. Tell him I'm single. Really single.